1 minute into my first training run, and my heart rate was already in zone 4. I was barely jogging, and I thought, what's wrong with me? That was 24 months ago. Since then, I have run 2 marathons, trained for a triathlon, and signed up for a 60k trail race. But this video is not about any of that. It is about what I got wrong first, and how slow, boring, patient training turned out to be the only thing that actually worked. Let me take you back to March 2024. I was on a ski holiday with some friends, really good people, really active. They were already running regularly. I was boxing back in the time and going to the gym, so I wasn't sitting on the couch either. However, those two activities cannot add up on the track. The strength you build in the gym doesn't transfer to the road, at least not on the long run. One of my friends had a great idea. Run the Athens Marathon, the original one. The course where, according to a legend, one soldier ran 42 kilometers just to deliver a message and died on the spot. I really liked the idea, but hopefully without the dying part. The idea was great, but there was one problem. I had not run 5 kilometers in years, and to add to that, I never really liked running. I always thought it was a bit pointless. You go out, you suffer, you come back. At least boxing hits back. But I said yes. 9 months until race day. How hard can it be? When I got home, I did what most people do. I researched training plans online, read about Zone 2, and bought a pair of discounted shoes, because I was not ready to invest in something I might quit in 2 weeks. Then I went out for my first real run. After about 60 seconds, I was gasping. My heart rate monitor said Zone 4. I wasn't sprinting, I was barely jogging. And that was the moment I understood this was going to make real work. So I slowed down. I followed that some coaches call talking pace. That's slow enough to have a conversation while you're running and don't break that conversation. I felt a bit embarrassing, but that was the only thing that kept my heart rate low enough. So I trusted the plan and kept going. But the body had other ideas. 3 days before my first half marathon in September, I got food poisoning. I was sick, weak, and throwing up. I dropped down the distance to 10k and crawled through it. 2 weeks later, I pulled my back badly enough to end up in a hospital. 2 days in bed, then yoga and light exercises to slowly come back. 1 month before my first marathon, I hadn't finished a single half marathon yet. I was going to Athens undertrained, unprepared, and to be honest, a little scared. Race day came anyway. My goal was simple, finishing it. I visualized every refreshment station, I planned out my nutrition and pacing. When my quads started cramping in kilometer 35, I did not stop. When my calves locked up a few kilometers later, I did not stop. It was not pretty. It took me just under 5 hours to finish, and I was sore for 2 days after. But I finished. And that mattered. Not because the time was good, it was not. But because finishing meant I had done something I genuinely did not think I could do a year ago. The problem was, I did not learn the real lesson yet. Therefore, I signed up for a triathlon. Here is what you need to know about that decision. I'm a worse swimmer than I'm a runner. So I choose to add the second sport I'm not good at, on top of the one I barely survived. In March 2025, I started working with a coach. I was excited. I expected a real training plan. Something structured, challenging, intense. The first 2 weeks arrived. It was walking and jogging in Zone 1 twice a week, and some swim and bike sessions. I was a bit disappointed. It felt like nothing. But I promised myself I will follow the plan. So I followed it. Every week it got a bit harder, and after 4 months I started noticing real changes. My heart rate was lower at the same effort, my recovery was faster, and the same things that was challenging before got manageable. And that is when it hit me. Not as a thought, but something that I felt in my body. You cannot build an engine overnight. The slow work, the boring work, the patience work, that's the engine. Everything else is just using it. But triathlon training came with a cost I wasn't expecting. 12 sessions per week, Saturday rides in the mountains for 5 to 6 hours. You don't have time for anything else. No friends, no hobbies, basically nothing outside training and recovery. I was getting fitter, but I wasn't living the life I wanted. So I made a change. I stepped back from triathlon training and returned to running only. And this time I wasn't rushing anything. My training was better planned, I recovered smarter, and as a result I didn't got injured. This year I returned to the same half marathon I walked through sick 2 years ago. I ran my personal best. A few months later I did the same with the marathon. Not because I was working harder than before, but because finally I worked the right way. So after 24 months, what actually surprised me? Well, what surprised me was how much time I wasted going too hard too early. First year, the zone 4 jogs, the ignored recovery, the skipped base training cost me real progress. Not days or weeks, but months. The athletes you see online who make running look easy are either generally talented or are running for years. So comparing your month 2 to their year 5 isn't useful, it's just noise. The thing that works is simple and slow and not too excited to post about. You build base, you stay patient, you show up after a bad week, and then, somewhere between month 8 and month 12, something shifts. Effort that used to feel hard starts to feel normal. One last thing before you go. I signed up for a 60k trail race in April. I'm still not a natural runner. My goal, as always, is just to finish. And if you're at the beginning right now, if you went out last week and your heart rate was embarrassingly high for a pace that felt embarrassingly slow, I want you to know that is not the problem. That is just where you are, stay there, do the slow work, let it be boring for a while. The results will come. They will just come on their own schedule, not yours. Your pace is not your problem. Your timeline is.